Right up.
There's usually like a quick delay right in the beginning. Well, I set up a delay for the video so that it just kind of catches up as we go through, and it gives us time to check to see the chat if people send stuff. All right, we're live.
Hey, what's going on?
Back to the Mondays. Um,
Back to the Monday. Back to the Monday.
yeah.
So
So one of the things that we were actually talking about right before we started this up was Cruz was telling me that he's been decluttering a lot of his stuff since he got back.
yeah,
And I feel like maybe I think that's actually just a really good time to start doing that kind of thing, especially since you come back from a long trip, planning a long an even longer trip to different places. So
oh
um,
for sure.
so the
Yeah,
next
next one's gonna be long if it's plans out the way we think it's gonna be. If it's the next one from Colombia, and then I'm probably gonna follow back over to Ecuador. So I mean that's gonna end up being 4 or 5 months straight right through.
oh yeah.
Um
Yeah, I think it's what's the good thing too is like it's a new year. One of the things I think that I just thought about today was I don't know, today I just got a little bit depressed towards like the afternoon, realizing that
sure.
the light outside was already dark by getting darker around like 3:30, and I'm like, man, like just not
Yeah.
having the light and just having it be cold outside can be a little bit depressing unless you are outside doing stuff, you know?
You're outside or there's something going on, people around can make it feel better and everything. But now I'm with you because like I'm still in a great headspace just from the travel and just from thinking about the next adventures and everything. But um being with the light going down so quick and sleep schedule being messed up, and then me being good and behaving and not really going and seeing anybody or anything. Definitely you get that lockdown, depressed feeling, not being able to go out and stuff. And like that was not with me at all for the past couple months. So it's kind of weird to feel that again. It's not bad. It's fine because I know it's only temporary, but uh, I can definitely see how it's wearing on people and everything. So I took the opportunity to, like you're saying, just start tossing a lot of stuff. After traveling for a couple months, and planning on traveling a lot more, you just realize how much extra stuff that you have that you just don't need, that there's just no reason for it there. Um, I'm not talking about that crazy minimalist. I'm not going down to like one fork and one knife and stuff and not having somebody over or anything like that, like some psycho. But, I don't need 30 button down shirts. Like I threw out a bunch. Still, a lot of them were still pretty new. So I did keep probably still like 20, but I threw out 10 of those. I threw out, 5 pairs of jeans. I only need like 4 or 5 pairs of jeans, couple different colors. Um, threw out a ton of t-shirts because I got some new t-shirts in that I ordered that are just way better for traveling. Fresh, clean tees. Pat was
Mm.
wearing them. They like held up amazing. They're a little bit longer, so they like look good with just a pair of jeans. They fit really well. He was wearing them every week and washing them. They held up great. They didn't stretch out. So I got a set of like a 5 pack of those in and threw out a bunch of other t-shirts. I kept, some of my like, some of your fun graphic ones or ones that you just got a little sentimental value towards. I kept a few of those, but then just tossed 10, 15 pairs of t-shirts that I couldn't even tell you the last time I wore them. Like they're just not even usable. And then other stuff that you liked before that shrunk and you're still kind of holding on to it because you think maybe you might sort of still wear it. Like, this looks okay. Like if it just looks okay and you're not really wearing it, just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Go out, get yourself like one or two new, say it's like a long sleeve like Henley or something. Go out and just get one or two new that actually fit and look wicked good. Like you don't need that many clothes and that much stuff, you know? So just kind of trimming down and going down that whole path. Sweatpants. So many random sweatpants I had. Not even in style anymore. They're all baggy. Had them for years. Why do I even have these things? So no, those had to go. Um, so and then next up this week is just extra miscellaneous stuff. Stuff that I have in the laundry room, stuff that I have in the side of the closet. Um, that you sort of traveled with, had from other places, this, that, like, just toss it. Just toss it. Just get rid of it. Even if you think you could, like, maybe sell it, you know what? Just get rid of it. Just donate it. Call it a day. It's got no monetary value. It's been sitting there for 7 years. You don't need to worry about getting you $20 out of it. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, I think that there's like a general practice of, or just a general routine that people have just hoarding a lot of stuff. And I think one of the interesting aspects is like the first time someone goes through their stuff, like their clothes, it's you realize like there's probably maybe like 5%, maybe less, of the actual pile of clothes that actually gets worn.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's such a small percentage, and then
I had
uh,
like 10 bathing suits. I don't, what? Then half of them weren't even in style anymore. They were from like when like you were wearing like longer board short bathing suits. I don't even like those anymore. What do I even have them for? It's ridiculous. Just get rid of that crap. So definitely doing that. I'll definitely probably do another pass in January once I let like the first pass kind of settle. Go back through, do it again, toss some more clothes. Definitely the other random BS. Doing that. Um, just to get rid of it, just to clean up, declutter stuff that you don't really need.
yeah,
I'm not throwing out couches. You're not going to come over and have like only one chair to sit in and stuff like, you know, but as far as my own like personal extra stuff, there's just no need. So, I definitely did that this past week. And then I was actually, before we jumped on, I was actually getting ready to sign up for so anybody out there that's listening, doing travel and everything, you're starting to travel a lot, there's fees that you get hit with. There's transaction fees, and there's a couple cards and a couple banks out there that give really good travel benefits and perks with them. So one of the ones I'm signing up for the checking account, which is Charles Schwab investor checking account, which they reimburse all foreign. They have no foreign transaction fees and reimburse all ATM fees worldwide. So I'll use that going forward as like my travel checking account where I'll transfer money over into there to keep, bring that with me along with other cards, but that'll be my main one that I'll use at ATMs and everything, which will end up being cheaper than most money exchanges or anything like that. And then for credit card, the Chase Sapphire Reserve card just packs a ton of travel benefits in there, from insurance on if you rent a car to covering your global, covering your TSA pre-check fees, giving you like premium Lyft account for free, giving you like no DoorDash fees if you happen to be door dashing, along with super, super, super low foreign transaction fees and tons of extra insurance on your luggage if it's delayed. If your flight is delayed, they give you a couple $100 a day to cover expenses. They also they give what was it? One other thing they gave. Oh, and then they also on the airlines they give you basically every major airline, if they have like a lounge, they give you free access for you plus one other person to basically like every major lounge that's available at any airport. So you have that card, go to your flight a little early, get a little filled up on some food and a couple drinks for free, and then get on your plane, get on your flight. So it's just a way better card and a way better checking account to really cut down on those fees and give some nice travel benefits and perks and everything. So I'm going to be switching over to using that. I'm going to take care of the after this. I'll definitely going to use the Charles Schwab. That's the Charles Schwab interest investor checking account. No minimums either, which is kind of a thing. No minimums, no checking account fees. They just give a lot of the bonuses right out of the box.
Mm.
The Sapphire Reserve does have a big annual fee, but based on the extra like kickbacks and everything, oh yeah, you automatically get like $300 worth of points back immediately on stuff that you spend on like travel expenses or restaurants and everything. So like the fees like 500, 300 it basically comes right off. Like you're going to spend that on traveling without even trying. You throw in a little global pre-check and a few other things and basically it's the annual fee ends up being like $75 or something dumb, and you get phenomenal international like benefits and transaction fees. So it's definitely going to be my new go-to card for traveling internationally. It'll probably end up becoming my main card too, because their exchange program on that for exchanging for flights, the points too are really good. So convert those Airbnb charges over to covering for flights with points and stuff. So
Yeah, I think it's definitely good to have like a certain system, especially with traveling. You know, like what's the main card for, withdrawing money? What's the main card for credit transactions, things
oh
like
yeah, those
that.
fees add up quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think so I know for me it costs more to withdraw lower amounts of money than it was to withdraw a lot. So obviously there's like a give and take. There's a certain risk involved with withdrawing a lot more money, but the percentage always stays the same for the cross border fee. But the but the fee, to use the ATM, and then obviously because it's a foreign transaction, they bop you on that one. So um, I think it came out to, if I withdrew like $100 from my bank account, it would cost me 13%. But if I withdrew $300 or $400, you'd cut that more than half of the charges. And
Yeah. So you can never those not necessarily just the cross border fees, but like the exchange rate and everything. You know, the buy sell. Like you're never going to be able to escape that. That's just a thing. That's just how money exchange business is done.
yeah, well,
Um,
unless the value of the currency in the given places has dropped, then when you like
sometimes you can get a drop. Sometimes you can get a drop.
well
But
when you
overall,
when you arrived in Peru, um, it was when I arrived, it was 317 soles to the dollar. When you arrived, it was 350 to the dollar. So,
oh yeah,
um, so when I first withdrew money, like I actually kind of lost out because of where the value was at
yeah,
the currencies. That's one of the things that I think that's one of the benefits in Ecuador. You don't get the of the currency exchange rate change because they use dollars. I think
which is
it's a huge
usually
win.
the has a decent spread on the buy sell. Um, So a lot of times you're still going to get bopped with that no matter what. But if you can get rid of those extra foreign transaction fees and everything,
Yeah, they
it adds up. It adds up a lot, um, especially over an extended period of time.
yeah, and that depends too, right? Like if you're using card, and or if you're using cash. So like that's one of the things. Um, like in Ecuador, what I would do is most of my transactions were cash, but I would still have to withdraw money, obviously, to use that. So it was one of those things, um, having that option. But if I did make a purchase, if there was the option to use a card, I still used it just because it was advantageous, um, points wise with using my primary card.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. You use cash. Some places, are still only using cash. So you get stuck with that and everything. Um, but generally speaking, if you have like a good points card and a good points card with like really low transaction fees on your credit card, using the credit card is always the better way.
Yeah, and if there's anyone out there that's traveling or planning to travel soon, maybe add some insight in regards to into this type of thing, because there's some preliminary things that I uh, that I like to prep for, especially for travel. And one of those is the financial transactions when someone arrives in the country, but it's also the support too, the support of the companies, to handle like troubleshooting and things like that. And well, Charles Schwab
Yeah.
is a big company,
No,
so
well,
and
that's
then
important too, because I found some decent like apps that do a lot of like exchanges in the currencies that were high rated. And then I
mm,
was reading, and like they had a ton of reviews, good stars. They had to have been purchase reviews, because legitimately the first like 100 reviews I went through, actually reading them, were all, they locked my account. This is the worst customer service. I can't even get my money. What's wrong with this? And I was like, well, that's a no go on this. I didn't just scroll through like one or two. Like I kept paging down, paging down. I was like, wow, this is horrendous. So after seeing that, maybe a little apprehensive, but going with a Charles Schwab and a Chase card, I mean, you're going to get phenomenal customer service. Like you're talking about two absolute, just massive, massive companies that are competing with everybody else. Like they have to give good customer service.
yeah, and Schwab's is about to get larger and larger too. So they're gonna have I don't know how well they're gonna or when they're gonna integrate some of their new systems because of the purchase of TD Ameritrade, but I know there's gonna be some weird transition going into that. So whatever services that TD Ameritrade have is most definitely gonna merge with whatever Charles Schwab has in the process. So I think that's gonna be advantageous kind of long term, um, or jumping in on it early on, when some of that stuff hasn't really, happened yet. So I think
Yeah, I was,
there's some really good advantages to
yeah, I was getting a little, I was just getting, always looking at what's going on, looking at what's open, looking where I can go. Um, and I have like on the short list, on the short bucket list, is to try and see the Northern Lights, right? Like Northern Lights are, it's pretty amazing. Like it's definitely something you'd want to uh, see in your lifetime. Um, so Iceland, they opened up that if you no quarantine, no nothing, if you have an antibodies test. Um, so if you recently had it, you get your antibodies test and you can go in no quarantine. But they're still not allowing U.S. citizens. So even with that, yeah, still no. So the only way you could get in, because Iceland is on the list of places I want to go see. I don't know if that's a spot that you ever wanted to go and try and check out.
Oh, that was
Um,
on, Aurora and I were actually trying to get out there, for like a week, do like a
yeah,
drive
it's
and
not a place I want to go for like a couple months. It's more of a week quick hitter.
yeah.
Um, Only because it's a little stark and it's cold, and it's definitely something that I would want to go to there during this time, during the winter, because I want to see the Northern Lights while I'm there, which means it's going to be extra cold, which means I'm not going to really want to stay there for a super long time. So it's just going to be, a quick 1 weeker. But yeah, no, they still can't get in. It's you can apply. They're doing to try and boost their tourism. They're looking for like, decent earners, basically anybody earning at least $90,000 a year or so. You can apply and get a 6 month work visa and go over there and work for like a digital nomad. So they're trying to attract people that way. So you can do that, but that's super over the top to go through that process and everything just to go and see the Northern Lights.
Well, I think some of the weird things I find with the travel and all these like new visas and stuff like that, for the most part, people don't really need them. You know what I mean? They're kind of just like this add-on to it's I get it. It's a revenue generator for a lot of these countries. But people were doing the digital nomad stuff before the visas were, even in place. So I think it's not necessarily anything that I don't think anyone really needs to do if they're going to consider that. But I think
No,
it's more of an assurance, the where they peg like the income rate is just they don't want people to, um like
I mean,
ha- like
Iceland's
acc-
expensive.
yeah, like accidentally
Iceland's
have to live there.
expensive.
Yeah.
They want to
Well,
make sure you're making enough that you can go there, live, work, and still have enough money to go out and spend money, which is what they want you to be doing.
yeah,
So if they're so basically their thought is like, if we're going to let in Americans, which we're still, not letting them in for some reason. Well, I mean, we know the reason, but they're still not letting us in for some reason. They want to make sure you have enough extra income that you're going to go out to restaurants and spend money and do this and that. But whatever, forget them. I'll be back now. I'll visit next year. Stupid Iceland.
well, I think some countries they have these like weird regulations with the U.S. Like, oh, certain states, if you're flying out from a certain state or you live in a certain state, like you can travel to the country. But if you're coming from, I don't know, like New York,
My PCR test is the same as everybody else's PCR test. I don't get what the issue is.
well, it's again, who knows? And I don't know if you've been catching some of the stuff that's been going on, but there are certain things that we can't talk about now. Like generally speaking, on certain platforms, there's a restriction on certain topics that can't be discussed, or you can't use
Oh,
certain words.
I
And
want to. What is it? Say it, because I want to see if this video gets pulled.
I'm not gonna say it, but
Type it in chat. I'll
well,
say it.
let's just say it
I'm
has.
just gonna start saying words. I'm
This
just gonna
man,
start guessing. So either you type it or we're gonna go through some not family friendly stuff right now. We're gonna
all right, just do
so
it, just do it, just do it.
uh, so it's all right. The only stretch of place for like visas that's an issue. So if you're digital nomad, the only stretch of place that's a legit issue for visas for long term is the Schengen, because they whack you for all those 28 countries under the same one Schengen of 90 days.
Mm.
So Portugal, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, like you start going through that whole stretch, like you're whacked under the same 90-day restriction, all encompassing. Um, that's the only area that for like a long-term travel that's a bit of an issue, because you're like, oh, I'm going to go do 2 months in Spain, then I'm going to go over, jump and do, a month in Poland, 2 months in nope, month in Poland, 3 months, 90 days, got to go, got to
Mm.
leave for 90 days. So
You
that's
gotta
the only
weigh up.
stretch that'll be an issue. But I'm obviously, like I'm planning to be South America. We'll figure out Europe in the future.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, right now, I mean, there's just a handful of countries that are open, and then on top of that, like you and I spoke about before, if anyone's going to consider traveling, it behooves them to, I think, just kind of a cautionary is to when approaching going to places, anticipate that the possibility of staying at a place longer than what they intended. On top of that, possibly way longer. So. Um,
make sure you got everything you need. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think um, that's I think one of the holdups for some people traveling. But I can tell you right now, when I was at the airport in Florida, when I arrived, even in Boston, there were tons of people.
Oh, I didn't even mention this. Yeah, we landed in DC. There, that airport was packed. I don't even know where everybody was going. The
Hmm.
airport was packed in DC. Like straight up normal, busy, regular airport stretch. Like the whole terminal after terminal, seating areas full. The whole place was packed in DC. That was the first packed airport I've seen since this started.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I feel like the prices for flights are just too low to pass. That there's just going to be people that are just going to say, "Screw it, we're gonna go out and travel and take the risk."
So
It's like,
January to February, I'm almost definitely going down to Austin. Just a heads up.
oh, okay.
Uh,
Um,
So I don't know if you get squirrely and wanted to head down there for a little while, but
Well, I'm thinking about someplace warm, and
yeah, I'm gonna go to Austin, Texas for two reasons. Three reasons. One, I love Austin, Texas, and they're actually slightly open, and I'm hoping that they'll be even a little more open by then. Two, there's actually a dive shop, two dive shops, same company in Austin that appear to still be open where I can do my PADI e-learning online. And then they do the open water dives at the lake right near Austin. So I can knock out the scuba down there. And they have a stretch of like a week or one long weekend where I can get the actual the water part of it done and square that away and have the scuba cert. And then three, not flying Spirit, but flying like brand name JetBlue or Delta Airlines round trip from like January 15th to February 18th at a Logan Airport was like $150 for a round trip flight. So with those three things coupled, yeah, I'm gonna go down to Austin.
Well, again, that the whole thing with traveling right now, it's like the flights are so cheap. $150 round trip to Austin from Boston. It's like,
You kidding me?
why wouldn't someone take advantage of
It
places like
was
that?
that one I saw. It was JetBlue. It was Delta down, JetBlue back. Delta had one stop. It was on a Saturday. One stop was like a 6 or 7 hour flight. JetBlue was a direct flight back on like a Thursday or something. Round trip, $150. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things I think right now that people should take advantage of. But obviously, I think if people are traveling in the U.S., it's not going to be too much of a risk as far as getting stuck at a place because people can always drive back. Um, if
I mean, it'd be a little crazy. Whatever, you rent a car one way. Yeah, they're gonna bag you a little bit. Just drive home.
Yeah, and I think like I said, right now, well, rental cars aren't really that.
No, it's just that they bag you on the miles when you go one way.
Yeah, yeah. No, I want to say, what was it? So my rental vehicle was $30, and the whole total came out to like $100. But the rest of it was taxes and and dropping off the car in a different place was like more than 50%.
It's all the dropping off in a different location.
It
Super
was
expensive.
unbelievable. Yeah. So otherwise, if I was dropping it off at the same place, it wouldn't be too expensive. But it was one of those things where it's like, oh man, the price. you know, I had to do it over here, but no big deal. But it was still one of those like, wow, the cost of the
Yeah.
car itself wasn't that much. Was the drop off itself was the big bill.
Like there's other warm locations I love and stuff, but I like Austin, Texas. I like that city. I'll go chill there for a little bit. I like that city a lot.
Nice, nice. Well, yeah. Speaking about, so we're talking about warm places, right? So we're obviously in kind of not nearly in the dead of winter, but we're getting pretty close. In the place here, I don't remember if I talked about it, but the shower outside.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah,
There's a shower outside, and I'll tell
yeah.
you what, that water gets really hot. So it's almost like being in a hot tub outside. Um, it seems kind of intimidating and weird, but here's the thing. Over the weekend, I actually took a cold shower outside.
Why would you do such a thing? That sounds horrendous.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's something different. But have you
That's some
ever
that's some psycho stuff. Why would you do that?
have you
Don't do
ever
that.
have you ever heard of Wim Hof? The
No.
it's
Does this have anything to do with freezing your kids off outside?
Yes, 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 it does.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
this guy figured out. So he calls it like the Wim Hof method, or something to that degree. And what this enables someone to do is to be able to tolerate cold temperatures, maintain heat, but maintain health, um, and not have any adverse effects. No, cold burns or anything like that. This guy has the world record uh, of like
Pretty sure
staying in the cold.
I've watched them. They like buried him in like ice water.
Yeah, like he has like the longest record for ice water swim under the ice, uh, with no issues or anything like that.
Yeah, this was like a cold water bath. So he was like, it was like in a controlled environment, and they just buried him in like ice water. And like his body temperature started going down a little bit. And then after like a little bit, like his body temperature actually like turned around and started going back up. And he was just in this for an absurd amount of time, just fine.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like it's just weird. So he has this like I was part of the reason why I was is on my mind because obviously because it's winter time, and I have been experimenting with the whole cold water thing, and there's
I mean,
actually some 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 medical benefits that come with.
the cold water shower in the morning is supposed to be like better for your skin, immune system, the whole deal.
Well, part of
From the report, from the reports.
well, so there's a so there's different things. So I'm gonna add a few things here. So um like what are the benefits of being underwater, like breath holding and stuff like that, and what are the benefits of cold water? So I guess one of the particular aspects about being exposed to cold water and holding your breath underwater for a long period of time is that it increases the spleen's ability to um, to to hold more blood, right? Because they're what it is like I guess the spleen. I don't know much about organs, but I was watching this the other day. But the spleen stores a certain amount of blood that when your body reduces the level of oxygen, it starts to release oxygenated blood into the bloodstream, so that there's oxygen flowing to the brain. So with with breath holding and the exposure to cold water, what it's doing it's building um, more capacity in the spleen to hold more water on top of the other things. It's kind of like very similar aspects of not drinking ice cold drinks, right? Because the ice cold drinks shock the intestines and the stomach. And actually, a friend from India actually told me about that. And ever since then, I actually stopped drinking ice water just because it's like, oh, you want to drink lukewarm water or water that's uh, that's not cold, just room
Yeah,
temperature.
at least closer to body temperature.
And so I've been kind of exploring those different things. So over the weekend, went for a run, did all that kind of stuff. Got lost actually, and I told myself I gotta take a cold shower outside before before I leave this place because it's the only place that I know of that has a shower outside, and it's in the dead of winter. I was like, oh, I definitely got to go to this place. But anyway, I tried it out, and at first, what's really strange is that people like gasp for air, but afterwards, like the breathing just kind of calms down, and it's kind of a interesting dynamic. Like it's cold, but it's not as severe. And I was out there for like 15 minutes, just it's weird.
That's that's cold. Why?
Like I said,
Why?
I've been experimenting with the whole cold shower thing. I've been trying to get used to it. It's not that easy, but it's supposed to be good for the health and the mind and stuff like that. So the guy uh, Wim Hof talks about the benefits of this. It brings us back to kind of more of the instinctual layers, the instinctual mind. So you know, the concept is like not to overthink it. It's just, oh, if it's cold, just jump in and just experience the cold. And again, it's kind of like a weird. It's he doesn't do any like extreme techniques or like, oh, you got to breathe through your nose. You just, oh, breathe the way that you feel most comfortable. And then he does have like a specific. I think it was like you have to breathe deep, in and out for 30 times, and then you jump in the water and whatnot. And but yeah, so yeah, I got the kids cold outside, but I could tell you what, it's it was weird. I had this like great shock of energy. Like, oh right, yeah, I feel great.
Yeah, because
So
you were dying. That's what you feel like when you're dying. That's why.
well, I guess living and dying is kind of you know, same
That's
two
I
sides
love
two
I
sides of
love
the
my
coin.
hot showers.
Oh, I took a hot shower today actually, right before, right before doing the video. But it's one of those, like I said, it's one of those things I've been experimenting with it, trying to trying to get into the routine. And you'll find when you scuba dive, now one of the things about lakes, right, is that the water is not as turbulent as the ocean. So you might not get the current because you'll probably drop down to about 30 feet, usually one bar, drop down to 30 feet at the bottom. And you'll actually feel a pretty significant temperature change in fresh water, or in like still water versus like the ocean because the water's not circulating through. Because obviously, the deeper you go, the colder the water gets. But you
Yeah,
really feel the difference as you go down. And one of the things about scuba diving that's very important is actually the breathing. And when you're exposed to the cold water, your breathing changes pretty dramatically. And a lot of it's like just first your body's at shock, but the next part is slowing the breath down so it just goes at a natural slow cadence. And the better someone can control their breathing, the better they can stay underwater longer, consume air. So so drinking coffee, having a lot to eat, and definitely no smoking or drinking beforehand is definitely um, the thing not to do. So you want to go out there, kind of just fresh and stuff like that. But it was one of those things where, especially in cold water, like you get out, you feel really good, but the breathing change is absolutely amazing. Um, and so again, the combination, and one of the great things too, right, with being exposed to cold water because you're in water for like an hour, being in cold water for an hour burns a lot of calories. So it's not an extraneous type of exercise, but your body will burn so many calories just to stay warm because
yeah.
the water draws, I think it's like 25% of the body heat out. So every time that it's drawing heat out, your body has to um,
Oh yeah,
metabolize.
just trying to keep yourself warm, you're gonna be using a ton of calories.
Yeah. So I think, and it's weird. Like it's a very surreal experience. Like I love night diving. So when you get certified, um, I know some of the tours, like people can go night diving if they want, but it's good to learn kind of like the safety stuff. But going on a night dive, because there's different creatures, during the day and at nighttime, and like down at Sandwich Town Beach, like at night, that's when the lobsters come out. That's why you can't go hunting for lobsters at night because they're nocturnal, so they're out and about. So
Yeah.
it's much easier to grab them. But I've seen squid and just weird looking fish just out at night. Um,
So I know, speaking of scuba diving, which is one of the things for going down to Austin, I didn't look into it, but I guess off the northern coast there of Colombia, I guess there's like a ton of shipwrecks there, um, in that whole area for going off and like doing different scuba excursions and everything. So that'll be kind of interesting to look into.
mm,
Um,
I've never done a wreck dive, but yeah, I
uh,
definitely there's a few wrecks off of Gooseberry Island down in Westport, but never I've never gone. So it's one of those things. Yeah, I'm down with that.
yeah, definitely. If I mean, gonna go and get this kind of definitely one of the points, while we're down there and out and about to definitely take advantage of it. So that'll be very interesting. Speaking of that, of the Columbia too, and I was had some downtime today. I was just kind of relaxing for a little while. I was looking at flights for kind of the time frame and everything. It was like a one-way ticket from Boston to Medellin, like whatever. It was like I was looking at like mid-March or something. I think the one-way ticket, the one-way tickets are always a little more money too.
Yep.
Um, One-way ticket, one layover in Fort Lauderdale, right into Medellin, was like $150. Like,
That's a steal.
yeah, yeah. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, actually, this week I have to start booking flights before it gets too close to the new year.
For where? For back to Ecuador?
Yeah, back to Ecuador in January. I mean, so
Yeah,
far
because
everything looks
those
like
will start going up a little bit. But we have a little time for later in the year still.
yeah. And man, I can't believe we're already kind of midway through December. So yeah, you're talking like the next month I'm gonna be leaving.
January.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the first, second week of January, I'm gonna start looking.
Um, so
I'm hoping, for our sakes and the entire world's sakes, that after the new year we get a sense of where this crazy goddamn world is actually turning and where stuff's headed. Um, you know, that would be nice. Every headline basically says, "Get ready for lockdowns. Get ready for lockdowns." Like this stuff is already locked down. What do you mean? What do you mean? Get ready for them? It's already like fully underway across tons of countries or states everywhere. What this is get ready for lockdown.
the part that drives me nuts, right? So okay, assuming that okay, I got sick. I tested. I supposedly got sick. Okay. So why do I need to go get treatment? You know what I mean? If it's already passed through my system, um, the likelihood of me getting it again or relapsing is not very high. So I don't understand what the end game is. And you asked that question before. Is it going to be something that people are going to take every year, or is it something that that's just going to be a one time deal? And it's tough to pinpoint. It's tough to pinpoint exactly what's going to happen, and everything's just absolute chaos. I feel like the whole world right now is absolute chaos with with whatever is going on. Um, I'm at that point where it's like I don't know what to believe anymore, and it's 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 more annoying than anything else because I really just kind of want to get my traveling thing going and not have it be an issue, when I arrive in a country because so
Yeah, because you want to be able to go and still experience the country. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to go there to just not be able to do anything.
yeah,
That's crazy. I want to be able to, like Colombia, like I want to be able to go out to restaurants and on the weekends go out into the, in El Poblado to go out to some of like the bars and salsa clubs and like have a good time, enjoy being in Colombia. Um, so without that, that's a little tough.
yeah. But again, I think there's certain countries. Well, there's a lot of European countries that are closed down with the U against the U.S. So unfortunately, you were saying like Croatia was over the course of like a couple of weeks ended up locking down. And
Yeah.
other European countries are not even allowing U.S.
So
citizens to come in.
for me, it got so late in the season and everything. I think Croatia did it for two reasons. One, they had cases going up. And two, I think they did it as a preemptive to try and get the maximum out of the next upcoming tourist season.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because like right now, legit, there's no one there.
Yeah,
And now there's even going to be less people. They're going into the winter and everything. So I think, at this point in time, even the cafe bars and restaurants, they weren't doing that great anyways. I think they just are going to close them up just to try and get everything as low as possible and be 100% ready to go on April 1st. Because April 1st is like the kickoff of their tourist season.
mm,
Because you have the winter months and then you have March, which is Borda, which Borda is like the north wind that comes through. And for like a month, the gusts can get up to like 200 kilometers an hour and stuff. They have this crazy wind. It usually happens like 3 times a year, Borda. The big one is in March. And as soon as Borda passes, that bright, like it just blows everything out of the entire area, and it just turns into tourist central blue sunny skies into spring and summer. But that March is like pretty rough there. So April 1st is like usually like their official kickoff date for the tourist season.
Mm.
So I think they'll like do that, open up, maybe a little in the winter time, lock down again, and make sure that they're ready for that. If I had to guess what their thought process from like an intelligence standpoint is, that's I'm going to assume what they're doing.
No, that definitely sounds like a good assessment for sure. And again, it's one of those things, right? We don't know what's in store for next year, other than what we have to plan for today, and then just be on the lookout for. Actually, they do have the vaccines out, and I guess this week, I think this week they're ready to distribute the vaccine. So
They're going to start administering.
so again, it's one it's tough to see what all this stuff will play out.
Well, I mean, like, from talking to people in Ecuador and me talking to people in Croatia, like they can't, like the people over there in Croatia, like they can't go through another like dead tourist season.
Yeah.
Like that, it'll be real bad, real bad.
It's I and it'll just be interesting what 2021 is gonna be looking like, and it's one of those scenarios where um I don't know. I think there's a lot hinging on what's going on in the U.S. that's holding everything in suspended animation right
Jeffrey Epstein. Is that one of the words? No.
now. that could possibly be one of those.
You didn't see that one coming?
No,
it's only it's
Yo.
only fresh in my brain because one of the girls that we met when we were traveling, she posted a picture on Instagram, and like she was back home or whatever, and somebody, like one of the people who she with, they had like this huge flag with his face up behind them, huge flag, and it said, "This flag didn't hang itself." That one got me when I saw it. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good. That's not bad."
Oh man. Like I said, all this thing that's going on in the world. Or I should just say in the U.S. because a lot of wacky stuff going on. But
Yeah, nobody cares about the Epstein. That one's not going to get us pulled. Don't worry about that one.
yeah, it's all the current event stuff. But I think moving forward, we have to kind of anticipate like uh what's going to be what we have to talk about, or what we can or can't talk about
What
on the
does
YouTube
it have
channel.
anything to do with lawsuits? Can I talk about those?
No.
What about president-elect?
No.
All
They
right, I'll stop.
yeah,
We'll go.
the all the terms and services stuff changed. They sent out a what's it called? A uh, not a blog, like an update that any discussions about you know these certain topics is going to cause they're basically just going to pull the videos. So
Which is wild. So we're gonna go out. We're gonna go after face. We're gonna go after Facebook for being a monopoly, but we're not going to investigate this.
it's
Yeah.
it's a possibility that all across the board it's going to get looked at. I mean, it's
Oh yeah, but I mean, like you got 48 or 46 attorney generals in the Fed going after Facebook for being a monopoly, but not worrying about people having general, reasonable, free speech rights.
it's
But
well, the crazy thing is that's the world we
okay,
live in.
yeah, I know.
I was talking about this stuff before, and I was thinking like years down the road. Nope, instantaneous. Um, with that being said, though, I mean, all right. So Facebook, right? So I got the new Oculus VR headset, and it's freaking awesome. And the one of the requirements to use it is you got to have a Facebook account. And some people can't use it because either their account was in bad standings with Facebook, or or they just don't want to use the product, which is a shame. But I could see why, um, Facebook did it, but at the same time, it's put a little bit of
I mean,
reservations towards people
you go
using
to
it.
use your Xbox, you have to have an Xbox account. Same thing.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't really have any major issues with it. I think, they're the ones who's funding the progress of the technology.
The big
And
issue sometimes is people want to scream about every little infraction, every little like every tiny little big brother thing. And you know what? It just drowns out the ones that are actually really important.
yeah,
So pick your fights.
well, like I said, there's a lot of reasons why people are against it. Obviously, I have one, so, and I honestly think it's the best headset out there. I think it's just kind of the necessary. This is the issue that I have with people that talk about, the Big Brother uh, issue, right? Is that everybody wants things to be more convenient. Everybody wants things to be cheaper. Everyone wants things to be convenient. But when the convenience happens, that the way to make things convenient is to know more about the people that use the products and services, get put in place. People get mad, and I think that's where it goes wrong.
Yeah. If you want
Uh,
really good suggestions on Netflix or really, really good suggestions on Spotify, guess what? They're going to track all the stuff that you watched and listened to.
yeah.
What a surprise. Holy shocking. I'm floored by this. They didn't just magically use a wand to figure it out. Wow. What a
Well,
surprise.
well, the funny thing is, right? If working for a company, they'll have a thing. They'll have like a CRM, customer relations management system, right? But it's not automatic. It's not automatic like people, going on a search engine or posting something on Facebook, which people do voluntarily. CRM is a very active kind of uh, endeavor for companies to gain intel on on doing business. So it's the same thing, except that the method of it is very different, right? But it's and that's like I said. So I'm kind of torn. I think if there's free speech issues, I think that's the problem. But I don't see a problem with a company growing because they figured out a better way for customer engagement and to provide a better product and service. I have nothing against that. So it's a
I
weird
mean,
it's a weird dichotomy.
I get it. They're using the data. So sure, block it, make it so that way they can monetize it internally, but they can't sell your data. Fine. You know, I'm okay with that. They can use it for their own company practices, right? But they're not. What are they doing to you? They're trying to sell you different stuff in a different way. You still got. Don't click it. Don't buy it. Real simple. Don't do what the ad said.
Yeah, don't do the ads.
Like what? Oh, we all know there was such a good ad. It made me spend all of my money and I'm broke. No, you made yourself broke. Get over it.
So, like I said, it's a strange dichotomy that we're in, and I think a lot of these services are so ubiquitous that uh, people have issues, with it. Like the only time I ever post anything on Facebook is when I advertise these videos. That's like, and once in a great while. I got rid of Facebook on my uh,
It's
on my phone.
the
Like
big issue is people are as dumb as you think they are. Maybe
it,
slightly dumb.
it's again, it's just one of those things. Like I said, I'm not against the whole big tech thing. The only thing that I have an issue with is the free speech stuff. Um,
Oh, we're saying yeah, of course, 100%. The blocking of certain things, like I'm fully on board that there's certain things that are very questionable that should be looked at. You know, you're looking to incite a riot. You're looking to like organize people to go and rob a bank and stuff like that, of course. But having general, legitimate adult conversations about things that people may believe and are things, that's they've really been pushing the boundaries on some of those. Really been pushing the boundaries on some of those.
Yeah, and I don't think the government's really gonna move that fast. There's actually, again, there's all these kind of weird controversies around using some of these products, and no one says to use Google, nobody says to use Facebook. It's just the products are just so good, and I say that kind of in a more general term. Like, oh, you want to talk to someone across the world? Well, there's Instagram, Facebook, and Messenger, which are all Facebook products,
What's
and
that?
WhatsApp. They're all Facebook products. They had the war chest to buy WhatsApp for however $1 billion. Um, so they have that ability to do
every
that.
every person that I met traveling, which was a fair bit of people, I either have their Instagram or their WhatsApp, and that's it.
Yeah, and and the crazy thing is, like in Ecuador, it's like people barely use regular phones. The government directs people to a WhatsApp. The government directs people to their Facebook page.
Can we
So
talk about something else too? Hold on. So you're staying in an Airbnb, right?
yeah,
Can we talk about how stupid that IPO was? Second only to the Absolera IPO. DoorDash, I thought was even DoorDash. I thought I was dumb on Wednesday, and then Airbnb came out and set a new standard for dumb on Thursday,
if
and then Absolera came out and set the world record for dumb on Friday. They only did. I know they have contracts coming up and everything, but they only did 28 million in revenue over the trailing 12 months, and had a $15 billion market cap on IPO day.
well,
What?
IPO day is always kind of just a weird day, and
Sorry, they're both already coming back down. So watch them and buy them. They're going to come back down. Both two companies, I believe in long term, just not for the price.
if you want to see another weird one, look up Compass. I want to say it's a company out of the UK, and their claim to fame is that they're issuing legal, get this, psilocybin. And if you know what psilocybin is, ma-
Legal? Yeah.
magic mushroom
My microdosing? What are we doing?
pills. They're gonna be issuing pills. And dude,
So,
their IPO went bananas. Look them up, Compass.
so I'm over on Airbnb right now. So we closed up at a buck 30, day low 125. So we're down to a market cap now of 77.6 billion with their outstanding shares of roughly, I think their outstanding shares are roughly around like 600 million outstanding shares. Um, Previous year earnings, 2019 was 4.8 billion. So they are actually at this point with this market cap getting down into that 17 to 18 times multiple revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Not terrible. So for me, overall, trying to get in at a good price is anything that starts getting down, closing in towards that $100 range, which would put them around like 12 or 13 times revenue or so towards market cap from 2019. Saying you're going to have to throw out 2020 because, I mean, what do how you can't. What are you going to do with 2020? You can't. You got to throw that out as an anomaly, right? And use their 2019 number.
Well, the way I think of it is that they're more flexible of a company than they are because they're not a hotel. They don't have physical assets. They're a middleman to a service so that other people provide.
For sure, but I'm talking about necessarily for like the current valuation, like that 2020 revenue is going to be rough. We know it's going to be rough.
Yeah, I mean, but they've already mitigated the issue over the course of 2020 to
Yeah, they trim down. They're adding the experiences. They're doing a lot. So you say that the next reasonable thing will probably be closer to 2019 than an actual growth from that. You're going to get a huge dip to 20 in 2020. Hopefully 2021 kind of comes back and you start closing in on 2019 um, with a full recovery by say 2022.
well
Full recovery or growth by 2022.
well the pacing, and I watched an interview. It was like the day of the IPO with that guy Chesky, and he was talking about, he's like, if people don't travel, if people aren't traveling outside the country or going to places very far, they're anticipating that the customer base will still go out to at least a radius of 300 miles.
Yes, but there's a lot of areas that won't necessarily work, like say a Croatia, where people aren't coming and renting those Airbnbs from Croatia. There's just not enough income in that country for people to really be traveling and doing that. They need the foreigners to come in to purchase those Airbnbs.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're not at a high risk because they're not holding a mortgage. Other
No, they don't. They're not going to hold any risk necessarily, but they're not going to get the revenue. So I don't think the company's at risk of going bankrupt because they just funded. So if they're going to take this funding. If they're smart with the funding, they're going to keep that as a bit of a war chest to weather the next upcoming year or so, right?
well,
Which means they have plenty of liquid. Like they're reasonably flush with cash right now, and
I
should be absolutely fine.
I'd like to think that Airbnb is kind of like the YouTube of uh property, of like rental places.
I think
And
it's Uber. I think that Uber is a better.
no, the reason why I say that it's more like YouTube, because the people that are advertising, so obviously Airbnb advertises, but the ones who have the venues are the one also promoting the places as well. So they're getting,
They're writing the descriptions, doing everything like that.
yeah, so they're gonna help drive some of that business back to those places, whether it's someone from within a given radius. Like I seeked out this place because it was within a given radius of where I was going to stay, had the stuff that I wanted. And I think people are going to be thinking the exact same thing. If people aren't going to be traveling, you know, to Croatia or Ecuador, people are still going to want to go out, so they might go to like North Carolina or some part of the coast, or some place
So I
in New
think that's
Hampshire, Vermont.
legitimate. That's legitimate for like the U.S. and other higher earning countries. Your Germany, your UK, the U.S., a Spain, a France, stuff like that. I think some of the other countries may have a little more difficulty with that.
No, I don't, I don't
Um,
I don't think so. I don't think so, because
no,
no, because people have their routines and stuff. I mean, the place I stayed at, if you looked at the reviews that I stayed at in Loja, a good portion of them were actually people from Ecuador. They weren't people
okay.
from other countries. And
So
the celebrations and the holidays that they have in other countries, you know, whether or not there's tourists that show up, you know, the people within that country are still gonna go out. I just don't,
yeah,
they're gonna look for alternative. There's gonna be cheaper places. I just feel like, I don't think that, for some places like Emma out in Peru, like she's retired, um, and that's like an income generator for her. So
no. So I think Airbnbs. I think they're going to be fine. I'm just talking about like what number to use for a raw evaluation of a strike price, which means I'm
oh
gonna
that's
I'm gonna use the
oh
2019 revenue number.
oh I mean, the crazy thing is, whether their revenue is goes really high or really low or whatever it is. um I've several companies that post bad revenues ended up still their stock price still went up. So
Yeah, you got that Robin Hood is making some stuff wild right now. You got,
so and sometimes it's tough to identify or even evaluate like, oh, what's a good strike price. I know I've missed opportunities sometimes where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wait for the strike price, and then the stock goes to the moon. I'm like, what the hell? So
no, understandable.
you know what
So
I mean?
like, so that's why I'm not gonna like, and I don't want that to happen. So that's why I'm setting my strike price. I'm not coming in at the $80 mark. Obviously the IPO went at 68, so 80 would still be a reasonable jump up around 17% or so. Bump up on the IPO. I'm not going to shoot for that. I'm going to shoot around the $100 mark for my reasonable valuation purchase in on their 2019 revenue to market cap.
Yeah,
Anything around that mark, and I'm in.
yeah. Like I said, I think they have a lot of staying power because they're not. I mean, they have their creative team that works on their marketing stuff, but essentially, it's the people that own the places that are in charge of creating experiences for people that people want to go to. You know, Airbnb is
Yeah,
is n-
I
Airbnb
just don't
is
want to wildly overpay for it.
well. I mean, well, that it's like I said. There's no way of coming up with any logical answer because you got the Robin Hood people that are doing stuff. You got day
No,
traders
I
and
think
whatever else.
I think you just set your strike price and like stay true to what your fundamentals are.
Fundamentals and overall just understanding the product to me is like I said, you know, people it's in itself, it's its own little search engine, right? Because people want to look for something, they're going to look for specific experiences. And like I said, it's up to the people that own the places to come up with
The
the
Airbnbs, I think you're gonna see too, not now, but in 5 years, you're not gonna get Airbnbs for as cheap as you get Airbnbs right now.
well, that depends on demand, right? Because it's
Well,
going to
no, I
be,
think the competition is gonna start going up, and I think people are gonna start charging more for their places.
oh, I don't know. It's it, they can't charge more if people aren't going to their places. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
no.
it's to me, it's like I said, it's like if you think of like Netflix, right? Their prices have gone up a little bit. The competition has increased, but you don't see people not using Netflix. I
Not at
mean,
all. I think Airbnbs, I'm in on them.
yeah,
I'm in on them.
I just don't see like it's going to be really tough for another company to replicate what Airbnb is doing. And that's my that's
Booking.com and Vrbo.
yeah, but Booking.com is they're okay, but it doesn't give the same kind of seamless experience that Airbnb has. Like I was talking,
Airbnb's app is really easy. It's really fast.
yeah, and it's attractive, it's simple, it's like, you know, the transactions happen, really quick. You can't that's really tough to beat. And it's
The quick in-app messaging, it's really good.
yeah, I mean, if anything does happen, what you'll probably see is what people do with Lyft and Uber is that all the people that are providing, their service for driving and stuff will have both a Lyft and Uber. So someone will have an Airbnb and bookings.com. They'll have both, and wherever someone books is whatever the service.
The only big issue is the restrictions that might come into play because of housing issues, but that's a whole nother thing. And with that note, we are way over. We've given way too much great stock information to these people about Airbnb.
This is not a sponsored video. We like using the air. I love the place that I'm in. I love it.
I love Airbnb. I just love Airbnb. I mean, if they want to sponsor us, I mean, and take our million viewers, of course, absolutely. But
Yeah. I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the Airbnb method. It's such a great idea. I think it enables it adds value across the board, which I think is an important thing. But with that being said, I think it's good to end the video right here. For the person that joined us, thank you very much for checking us out. If you happen to stay this long, whoever you are, thank you very much. But we got more good stuff along the way, but it's gonna take a little bit of time for us to kind of get our bearings together since we were only back for like about a week and a half now. At least for me, I'm going into my second week. So
yeah, we're a little ways out from changing over, but it'll be changing soon. So
yeah, so be on the lookout for that. And if anything, you're not gonna anticipate that Cruz and I will continue traveling and checking out places and giving tips and stuff. And you know, for me, I'd like to give people confidence, but I understand, you know, there's a